call the Huntington Township Planning Commission to order. For the minutes of the March meeting. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes as presented?
Yes.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented for record?
None that I have.
Excuse me, can you speak up? I have a little issue with hearing.
I have one volume. Sorry.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay, there's a motion made by Jeff. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Second by Kyle. Any questions? Not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, next item is.
Yeah, all right. Let me get it open. Okay. Since the last meeting, the first one was 3/26 of March, and to Garmin Builders, one new two-story home on they should have building corner of Oxford Road, and they're replacing their deck. I accepted a subdivision for the Heebner Weyant, which we will look at tonight, and that's an add-on lot. I accepted a subdivision for Richard Allen Hartley on Carlisle Pike. That's a subdivision of 1.75 acres from the parent tract, which is 29 acres. And then I accepted a subdivision from Lobaw, and Buff at 1253 and 1255 Cranberry Road, York Springs. They're subdividing two lots off the parent tract for each of the daughters, and the rest stays in agriculture. I also issued an occupancy permit to Margaret Burney at 7064 Old Harrisburg Road for a rooftop solar, passed final inspection. I issued an occupancy permit to Virginia Bark at 5522 Old Harrisburg Road. She had rooftop solar installed on her house and passed the final inspection. And I issued a letter of waiver to Dwayne Huffman at 390 Idaho York Springs Road. He's putting new shingles on an existing porch roof. That's it as far as the permits go. Tonight on the agenda, let me go back to that. So, next item on the agenda is the engineer's report. Let me get that up on the board. No.
We received a permit for Tollway Road culvert, so check and get started on that. We received comments on Greenbrier Road's permit, and I'm working on addressing those and getting that back in. There's only a couple of minor comments. Nothing new for Myerstown Road. update on the saldo, we're gonna talk about that later, it's ongoing. And I received one plan for review this past month, Low Bob Up subdivision, and I don't know, did you say that was on the agenda tonight?
No, next time.
Yeah, so I thought it was coming next month.
All right.
That's all I had, if you have any questions.
Well,
Moving on to the old business.
yeah. Okay, old business. First item, report on Samwill. Evidently, the attorneys are talking to one another. They've dropped their request for the appeal to Commonwealth Court. There's a bunch of other legal language that he sent me, but our solicitor wrote me a letter and said that it looks like they're resolving it in an amicable way. So we'll let it go at that. The next item is the burn ban was brought to,
JVI.
I'm sorry, JVI, yes. Well, JVI came to our last supervisors meeting, and they were a little concerned about the fact that that extension they asked till August, we only granted them 30 days. And so they made a presentation to the supervisors, and the supervisors accepted the extension to August. The reason for that is evidently the state law, Clean Water Act from the federal government, it renews in August, and so all the permits that have been issued have to be, that's their, what do you call it? Funeral date or whatever, and so they have to be renewed. So that messes everything up. So they're working on it, and hopefully we get it going. Any questions? All right, the burn ban. The burn, that's my word for it. The burn ban is an ordinance that we're adopting. It came for discussion at the supervisors meeting. There was a lot of opposition, and we got people here who I'm sure will come. But for non-agricultural burning, they were concerned about the language that says, no fires burning shall create excessive odor or smoke. Well, how do you have a fire with no odor or smoke? So they tabled it and returned it to us to make a decision. So we need to discuss that. How do you feel about it? You want to send it back the way it is?
Well, let me back up a little. The main reason this whole burn ban is ordinance is being looked at and for adoption is because of the drought last year. We didn't have, the township didn't have any means of restricting burning during the drought. So the purpose of the ordinance is to try and give the township some means to control burning during extreme drought. So just so we understand what rest of it. Everybody knows what it's about, but the issue of excessive odor or smoke, I mean, yeah, any fire you're gonna have is gonna give off smoke and odor.
And that's something that you can't quantify either. You
No,
can't
you're not
measure
gonna
it,
have-
you can't.
you're not gonna have
What's
some-
offensive to you may not be to someone else, and I think it's one of them things that probably ought to be removed. It's not, it's something you can't quantify, you can't, measure it.
Under that section, you know, the items 1 through of 7.4, all fires shall be maintained. That's just common sense that you maintain a fire and don't let it get out of hand, especially during drought, when it's dry and can get away. All fires must be entirely extinguished and not permitted to burn or smolder, which that seems reasonable. Now, 3 is the issue about this excessive smoke or odor. Skipping that, number 4 shall be located in a place where not endangering structure, building, or other property. Myself, I don't see anything wrong with 1, 2, and 4. Around 3, if we want to discuss.
Well, when you call into the county, they tell you almost these identical things. I mean, if you have a brush pile or whatever you want to burn, you know, they'll tell you can't leave it, you know. So they give you instruction on that. It's almost identical or very similar. So I don't think that's really out of line.
I could get into all kinds of things. You'd have to have air quality control people and everything else.
I know.
It's not.
Forgive me, I wasn't at the last supervisors meeting, but was there any other concerns from the public other than number 3?
That was the big item.
Yes, good. Well, a lot of the problem that I brought up was the definitions. They're so vague and broad. How much smoke's in a momentary? Can somebody tell me that?
That'd be the
That's
definition.
excessive odor or smoke.
Yeah,
Prevails longer than momentarily.
yeah.
How much smoke's in that? I mean, it's just,
You can't define it.
no, there's so much wrong with this thing. If the purpose was to be able to ban burning during a drought, nobody has a problem with that. It's when you interject all this other stuff that people don't want it. I don't want it. And I haven't talked to anybody in my travels since the supervisors meeting that wants it. It's just that, the only people who make money off this eventually will probably be the lawyers. Because it just, you know,
Well, if we
and
take
then I brought up the
out
example.
3, wouldn't we then take out that definition?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be
I mean,
pointless to have it.
Yeah.
Fires, if you're burning brush, it's gonna have to come down to a point where it's smoldering, the coals are gonna smoke. And my question is, you got an agriculture exemption, so a guy across the road can have a pile of stumps burning for 2 weeks and smoldering, but you're gonna come after me for burning a pile of brush in the back that I wanna burn up, because otherwise, those ashes, when they're cold, are going to a landfill. Just, it doesn't make any sense. If you want a burn ban for droughts, put one in. Nobody has a problem with that. But this other stuff, I don't know where that come from.
Well, this wasn't started to halt people from burning in their back. I mean, there's no county fire marshal in Adams County anymore to help with this situation. So the township was doing this to try to just limit our liability. It was not in any way meant to halt people from burning piles of
Yeah,
It
brush.
seems like it's a solution
It
in search of
ended
a
up
problem.
that way.
Well, that's not how it was meant to be.
That's not what it was.
Well, but that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the way, that's the way.
Read what you wrote here.
I mean, I have a few other points too. There just is, I guess we all agree on the excessive smoke thing. I mean, that was the biggest thing. So if you take that out of the definitions and out of, number 3 on the restrictions, when I burn something, I call the county. Just to enlighten on number 2, they always tell me all fires must be out by dark. That's how they make it. That's what the county tells me every time I call them. And then also on 4, number 4, no fire shall be located in a place where it may endanger any structure, building, or other property. Okay, well, they just say, no fire shall be within 50 feet of any structure
Is it 50?
or
I was-
wooded area.
I think it was I don't remember exactly, but I thought it was either 50 or 150.
Yeah.
Because we had issues in Hamilton Township too.
It's 50 feet, and I just called them
Was it 50?
last week.
That would make more sense.
So, if anytime I have a fire, I call county just out of respect so that if a neighbor goes by and they see a fire, they'll call 911. 911 has my phone number. They call me, well, not 911, but county.
County.
Yeah. They have my number, and they always tell me those specific things every time I call. So I think we should be within the same parameters as they are, so that people aren't hearing one thing from one entity and something else from another. So, and also, this is why I think it gets excessive. I mean, down here you have, open burning in the temporary restrictions, and I understand that's under drought conditions, but charcoal grills, I mean, that's really kind of pushing it, I think, that someone can't go outside.
What about smokers?
What about smokers?
Well, I know.
They smoke.
I just think that, burning in receptacles, because while I was on the board, we actually put a ban in place. But we decided that, there's people that burn in burn barrels that cover them with a grate. Some people don't have garbage. So let's suppose you put a burn ban on for 2 weeks, a month. What are they supposed to do? Are they going to be risking $1,000 fine, which is what you're up to $1,000 fine, is what your ordinance says, because they burnt trash in a barrel. So I think that's what we saw as this is kind of went beyond just a burn ban to got a little excessive. Other than that, I think, it's pretty close to what the county tells you. Like I said, if you call in, and I don't have a problem, there needs to be common sense when you're lighting the fire in your house. But and again, agriculture, 90% of the township is agriculture. There's a few of us that live along that, so, we should make it the same for everyone.
Yep.
Well, it is the same in the restrictions.
No, it's not.
Yeah, once you call for the ban, it's the same for everyone.
Right.
But when there's no ban on, it's not the same for everyone. It's different for
Tree
agriculture.
growers cannot burn their trees in one day.
Well, I'm not saying they should, but I shouldn't have to burn mine in one day then either.
So to be clear, you think that they should have to put their fires out every night?
No, I don't. They know what I said. I said, everyone should be equal, the same, whether you're agriculture or someone that's clearing out a fence row behind their house. They should be treated equally, not agriculture exempted and a regular homeowner not under set.
So I hear what you're saying, Mark, but so I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So when you call county, I know because I do it myself, and they tell you it's to be extinguished at night. But herein lies the issue with fruit growers when they're burning these huge piles of the orchards that they push out. So how do we handle that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how the county handles it. I'm not a farmer. I don't know.
And
I can't answer that
unfortunately,
question.
Ron's not here to weigh in on it. So
I would say it
I
shouldn't
mean,
be
that's
any
a different. That's a whole different beast. It's
There's acres and acres
Yeah.
of trees. But Peters has up there right now.
right.
Yeah, but it's not no different than if someone takes a fence row out or takes a bunch of brush out to build a house in the woods or something like that. I mean, I don't see that as any different.
No, I don't either. I mean,
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
Right.
Well, if I may, what you're doing here, the guy across the road from me is burning tree stumps for a week, and he gets away with it. I'm out here, and it ain't out by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're going to come after me. That's the problem. That's it's different from one side of the road to the other, or can be.
And again, it's my understanding from the county, what they're not wanting is a big flaming fire, because if someone sees that's going down the road and thinks maybe my house is on fire, because I got a brush pile back burning. You know, so these guys like these trees, they burn all day, maybe wild, but they don't really, they smolder more, I think, than they really burn flames, you know. So that's something that should be considered too.
Fruit growers usually dig a pit and push the trees into it.
Right.
That's how they burn.
And so would you, if you were clearing a lot of woods for a house, you would do pretty much the same thing.
But when they call in, they're on file, and if someone calls in and says, you know,
Right,
they know the
Exactly.
location and that they're burning trees from an orchard, and, you know, that they don't make any effort to call anyone.
Right, and I would assume they would do the same for a resident. If I called them and they have my number,
I
the
think
first
they
thing they would
probably
do is
would.
call me. If someone called them and said, hey, there's a fire at
Right.
X address, they're gonna call me and say, hey, is your fire out? You know, I'm assuming. I've never had that happen.
Years ago, I burned some brush, and it wasn't out, and of course, somebody went 94 and saw it and called in. Next thing you know, the fire company was there putting it out.
Right. Well, that happened to me a long time ago.
Well,
That's why ever
this was
since
many years
then,
ago.
I called the county so
You
that
know,
I
and it was in the
would.
middle of the night. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and from the house I could see the lights and the siren. I'm like, what? You know, somebody who was going 94 just called it in.
I mean, I will say this personally. I think there should be something in there with excessive odor and excessive smoke, because when you, and I've had it, when my neighbor sits up there and burns old glider cushions and all that stuff, and melts that plastic off for hours, and it's smoldering blowing down to my house, I have a problem with that. That's not brush, that's not wood, that's trash.
How do we get rid of it?
How do we get rid of it? That's a good
You
question.
want to send it to a landfill? Because they don't want a lot of this stuff.
It doesn't need to be blowing in my bedroom window.
Yeah, I understand that. My neighbor
You
was
know?
cleaning up the property across the street, and he's been smoking me out for a year. But, you know, he's trying to clean up, and he's trying to better things, which is what needs to be done.
But this is a guy that's scrapping.
Yeah, and he takes wire.
This is a guy that's
stuff and then
scrapping.
burns the.
And you know what that is.
Okay, but that's something for DEP to handle, not the Huntington
Yeah.
Township.
I think good luck with
The
that.
problem, if you're gonna put in like excessive smoke and all that, you could have a neighbor that just doesn't care for you, and they're gonna be calling the township and reporting it all the time, and then you get your liable for a fine. I mean, that can happen too. It could just turn into a witch hunt.
Yeah, and the guy that's downwind's the one that suffers all the time.
But again, you
I know.
cannot give a description
No.
what's offensive and what is not offensive. So I think
mean,
the best thing is just take out the
Take it.
definition of excessive odors and number 3.
And just follow what the county control tells you.
Yeah,
I
Just
mean,
make it that
nowhere in here
simple.
are we telling anybody they have to call county control either.
No, but I think that's what we're hearing. We want it to mirror county control, so why not simplify it for everybody and just say follow the county control
You don't have to call
guidelines?
county control every time you burn something.
No,
No.
no, it's a
I
control
do
burn.
it, yeah.
It's a control burn.
well,
I
Right.
do it when it's a fire that someone can see probably from the road, or maybe
Right.
concerned about it. That's why
it saves you a lot of hassle if somebody calls it in.
Exactly.
And the fire companies, I don't think this one does,
Someone
but
charged.
some fire companies are charging if they come out and they're called to your residence or your property for burning something, and it really wasn't, you know, an issue. Now, I don't think these are, but I had read where they will charge you a fee for coming out. So, I mean, it's only common courtesy to call in to county control because it can save you a lot of headaches.
If we get rid of number 3 about excessive odor and smoke, then reword number 4 somehow to comply with county control regulations.
Yeah.
You wanna put that in, the 50-foot setback?
So what, are we sure that's what they, when they call in? I mean, I've never had to.
I mean, I'm 99% sure.
I remember too, they had,
I don't.
they had a list of restrictions too, on like the state police's website as to what you can and can't not do. Most of the
They
time, if
always
there's
say
an
out.
issue, they're set, because they're the only ones that can enforce it. And it has to still be burning in order to do that.
They always tell me the same things, out after, out before dark, which they're not saying this or nothing like that, they're saying the fire itself
The
should
fire has to be
be
out, has to
died
be,
down.
has to be somewhere present the entire time, and it has to be within, I think you said 50 feet of any building or any tree line of any sort that can actually catch fire.
That's exactly what they tell you if you call them.
From buildings and tree lines?
Yes, any structure, they call it structures, any structures or wooded area, I think something like that, that's what they say.
Well, if we change number 4, I think we need to call the county and see what their wording is. If you want it to match,
Get the official,
yeah.
Essentially mimic it so that
Yeah.
we don't have
I mean,
different guidelines and rules for
putting a
different authorities.
50-foot, you're making more limitation than what we have here. Because we don't have how many feet from.
This is up for interpretation.
Yeah, yeah, and, you know, it might be better to have what they say, but I think we need to call and see about that. See what their wording is and then put that in there.
right. And then number 2, the fires could be entirely extinguished by dark, you know, if that's what they, see what they say on that too.
Yeah.
Get rid of 3.
So 2, 3, and 4 then?
Well, not get rid of them.
Well, 3 we decided to
Yeah,
get rid of,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we need a motion. You want a motion?
I'll make that motion that we, strike number 3 from the ordinance.
And the definition?
And the definition as well, yes.
And modify, if you add modify 2 and 4 to mimic
Yeah.
the county control.
Yep.
Make it
Exactly.
all into one?
Yep. That would be my motion.
I'll second that.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
So we're, rework that, we'll get another version out, see how it goes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you get, whenever it's, like I was saying earlier, you know, it's, when we had that drought, extreme drought, and everything's so dry, and what you don't need is wood, like these wildfires and stuff that you hear about taking off because somebody lighting off out in the, even the field, in the grass field are dry, you know, the burn. But the woods really take off.
Nobody had a problem.
That's, just gotta, we'll get that modified and bring it back in here. So, okay. We want to take that discussion on the salary and flip
Yeah, we'll
that down,
move it backwards.
because we got a subdivision.
Yeah, well, I have another subdivision that came in, and I have it down for next month, but they have county comments, and I have the plan.
They had filed the time,
Yeah,
but, okay.
so I'd like to add that to the agenda.
What's the name?
Richard Allen Hartley. Harley, like the motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, the Heebner subdivision will be the next one in order.
Right. And Let me put this up on the wall. And well, let's do Heebner's first.
We have,
I have plans.
let's see, got plans.
Oh, yeah. And your copy. Your copy.
Thank you.
And don't forget,
These been reviewed by Tyrone Township, right?
yes. And there's a non-building waiver with it that we have to sign off on. This is the re-subdivision of a campground that the Hershey family owns. And when they sold
Wait a
off,
minute,
That's
wait a
the part
minute.
of
We got,
oh, I'm sorry, you're right, this is Heebner, over on the Oxford Road, it's an add-on lot.
Have you looked at this back in, what was it, Jan?
It was a while back.
Yeah. Scott, did you have any further comments on that?
No, just that, they had the signatures and the certifications, looks like that was all done, and we have to have the, non-building waiver paperwork. And
And do you have that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just,
Looks like the plans are signed by the surveyor, notarized and signed by the owners. Tyrone Township reviewed it back on the 10th of April and approved it. Portion of it's in Tyrone Township. It met all your, Scott, it met all your comments and any trouble with any county comments?
The county comments were here. And we
County
reviewed-
comments were earlier, but
Yeah.
Those are the comments, December and February.
anybody have any questions or about the plan?
I have nothing.
Looks like all the conditions have been met. Not hearing any questions on the plan, I'll entertain met all your, Scott, met all your comments and any trouble with any county comments?
The county comments were here. And we
County
reviewed-
comments were earlier, but
Yeah.
Those are the comments, December and February.
anybody have any questions or about the plan?
I have nothing.
Looks like all the conditions have been met. Not hearing any questions on the plan, I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Marlon,
Marlon?
I'll second it.
second by Cobb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I'll have to sign. That's a unit, I'll have to sign
Okay.
it later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's,
The next plan is the Richard Allen Harley. And let me get that up here. Oh,
So that would actually be under new business.
yeah, yeah. Well, I need this thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is the location map. This is the Carlisle Pike. Let me go to the second one, I think it's better. You think? That's not big enough.
No, don't close it.
How do you open
Go up to that open box.
it? Up here?
There's an open box up here.
Okay.
Pull that up.
Oh, look at
Okay,
that.
and just scroll it. Use that arrow or with the wheel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mr. Hershey sold a 28 or 29 acre tract that was the old campground, and that included his tennis courts. And his wife didn't know he was selling it. When she found out that he sold it, she kind of said to him that he had to get it back. And so, in typical Hershey fashion, we re-subdivided the lot. There's 1.75 acres that contains the tennis courts that goes back to the Hershey property. And the gentleman owns the rest of the property.
Lot 2's gonna be add on back onto
Onto the parent track. Mm-hmm. It's landlocked and it's adjacent to the Hershey existing property.
Which, lot 2 or what's being sold?
Lot 1.
What's being sold off is landlocked?
No,
No, okay.
They're cutting off.
Okay, oh, okay,
It's a lot addition to the parent
yes,
track.
okay, okay.
the, strictly an add-on
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just add it back.
to, back
onto
to
the parent track, yeah.
Right.
But we had already approved the subdivision, so now it has to be.
That was done
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
2-3 years ago.
Okay. So how much is the acreage that's being sold now?
Ken?
I think it wasn't 1.7.
I think it's 1.75.
Yeah, 1.75.
Is what,
Partly,
1.75.
it's going back
yeah,
to,
To Hershey.
1.75 acres is being conveyed back to Hershey,
okay.
and,
So we really don't care how much the other one is, right?
no.
No.
Okay, never mind that question.
See anything here with this picture?
The county, I guess, has no issues with it.
He's got my comments.
Andy's back here around.
Yeah, looks like they addressed these.
All right. According to our engineer, they addressed the county's comments.
Is there any ramification of the voting rights, switching that round and around? I don't know what's left with, I can't, there's so many assigned per.
I know. I doubt it's gonna be
It's not enough to,
yeah.
but it's not enough, probably 175 is not enough to throw it into another category.
No.
Has the new deed description been made yet?
I believe so, yes. I haven't seen it yet.
So the count, what you're saying, the county comments are addressed? And Scott, you're,
Yeah, it appears that way. I mean, I'm just looking at it real quick. They'll still need to have signatures on the title page.
right,
Do you have my review of it?
Somewhere right here, I believe.
I didn't know we were gonna talk about this, so I didn't bring mine with me.
up there, Corey subdivision plan review, the third one down, Gus.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's.
And what's this thing? Is there a north arrow?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
was a comment
Oh.
response letter sent in?
Pardon me?
A comment response letter, was that submitted?
No, I didn't have time to do one yet. I gotta sleep sometime.
Really?
Alright, well,
Without going through and doing a detailed study, I don't wanna take half an hour
No.
during the meeting now to do it.
Well, one comment that has not been addressed from Sheriff's office, and that is the right-of-way. I believe that is comment
No.
9. We're not going to create a 50-foot right-of-way over that 12-foot driveway. When all it does is go back to Hershey's dwelling.
It's been the township's position that they like to see 50 foot for a flag lot. So it'd be a long stem for a driveway back to the main property. So that's just why I made the comments, that there could be a discussion about that.
Seeing it, my recommendation, mine was to table for next month, so we can
all right.
get everything squared away, and then we can.
Well, we're not looking, they're not looking for approval, they're looking for discussion on this point.
You gonna make a motion to table it for next week, next month?
Yeah, I'll entertain that motion to table the plan until the May meeting.
I'll second. Wait.
No,
You do
Make
first.
I'll make the motion that we take.
motion by Jeff, is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second by Roxanne, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
What else you got, Russ? I know you got the saldo to talk about, but how about
Yeah.
this proposal with Branden?
Well, is Branden here?
I am.
All right. This gentleman's under new business. His name is Branden Powers. He put an offer in on a piece of property in our township. That is that property is shaped like a steeple, which was cut off by Route 15. And is parallels the long lane that goes back to where the modular homes were. And he's got a proposal that I don't have in the zoning ordinance. And so I invited him to come and present what he has, because I see it as a use not provided for. Branden, you here?
I'm here.
Get up here.
All right. I have a concept plan that's a full size, so I can either give everybody an individual one, or you guys can have. Copies to share. What would you like? You want for all of you, or you do another one?
I'll take one.
Okay.
Hershey's is back there. Those Hershey's is back there. This is the
So I made some modifications on it for my engineer that I did and actually in blue, and that's to help with density to make it a little bit more palatable. But specifically what these are business storage. So they're 1,000 square foot pods. You have a hollow metal man door, and you'll have a 12-foot garage door. All right, there'll be 16-foot eaves and 20 foot to the peak. So contractors like myself, electricians, concrete guys, whoever, would be able to rent this. They would also have a place for them to park their vehicles, and they would also have a mailbox. So each one of these would be considered, unit 1 through 25. They are, most of the ones that I've seen, and I actually have a picture of one where I am in Lemoyne. I just took it on my phone that I can show it to you. It was done back in the 80s, so it was done with block and with trusses. These specifically would be done with metal, the same type of structure you would see on a small storage unit, 100, 200 square foot storage unit. It's the same type of manufacturing, except they're just much larger. But the specific use would be for, 1, 2, 3, 4 man contractors to be able to have a place, so they're not necessarily in their home, right? They're not parking or jumping up their home. They have a place that they can actually have some element of professional setting to put their stuff in, and it also will give them a commercial address that would be beneficial for them as well, especially for financing or other options.
Would this be considered a business flex type of development?
No, it would only be warehousing, so there'd be no office space whatsoever. Okay? Each pod would have its own electrical panel though, and that they would be responsible for their own electric. There would be a fence around it, gaining entrance and access, so there'd actually be a keypad or some sort of key fob to be able to gain entrance in and out of it, so it would be secure for the people that are there.
And there wouldn't be any septic systems in any.
There'd be no septic systems at this time. Gus did specifically say to me that he doesn't like anything built on here that does not perk and probe, but at this point in time, because of the nature of it, that there would not be people here on a regular basis, I would not be looking to put any sort of bathroom facility or water. The way that the plot is being marketed now is that there is no ability for this to actually have a septic system on it.
I'm sorry, you say you have something similar to this in Lemoyne?
Yeah, I actually reside in one. I just sold a building to do development like this, and I needed a location to go. And it just dawned on me like, oh, these are really kind of good.
And what's the traffic like? I know you mentioned it's
right in
kind of storage, but I would think that if you're trying to take operations, okay. So out of someone's home as a, contract, self-employed, they're probably still stopping there once in the morning to pick up supplies, and then probably coming back in the evening to drop off supplies and prep them the following morning.
Correct.
So I would assume you're still having probably daily traffic, correct?
There would be daily traffic, and I think even in a regular storage unit, daily traffic. What you're not having is a continuous traffic, all day, all the time.
You shouldn't.
Right. It would be, specifically in the evening. Like we have, where I am, there's a hauling company. There's a guy who repairs and maintains fitness equipment for gyms. There's gutter guys, there's siding guys, electricians. That's just who I can actually, personally, see on these. That's what I would be proposing for this. It has a nice location being right on 15, right? So it's easy on and off access. I know that you can't come over here and automatically go south,
Right.
but still, I think there's a lot of benefits to its location of where it is, if it meets your zoning criteria.
Would that require security as far as fencing and?
Yeah, I would put fencing up and actually a keypad or a key fob of some sort for gain access. I think it would benefit the people that are there, right, to be able to do it. You know, I might want to ask if we could extend parking so there's more parking, you know, for vehicles, for people that want to leave a vehicle, you know, in their location.
So how many buildings do you have here?
They're 25 currently. 25, 1,000, so they're 20 by 50s.
You said to make it economically feasible, you need a waiver for the setbacks?
Yeah, so these two you can see that would go over on that setback line, and these four would go over on that setback line.
How are you gonna manage stormwater?
Those setbacks were taken off
That
of,
is a big question. You don't have much ground.
it's being marketed, the survey that was done back in 2000, is that right, Gus? I forget, it was 2000, 2003, there was a survey
Property ends here, right?
that was done.
Yeah. That's something. that
So I
they'd
guess the
have to-
question I have, how are you managing stormwater off of all this roof?
Well, it's only a concept plan for right now, so I'm just showing you what's there. We'd still have to do a full land development plan to have stormwater and figure out what we're doing with the.
I mean, this is the property line, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I don't even see how you can even manage stormwater off of that square footage in this little bit of an area.
They'd have to address that through approval process, and if they can't do it, they'll have to look at why they get trimmed down.
I mean, I think it's a great concept for that piece of land, the way it sits there, but.
Well,
I don't know if you could put a stormwater basin in the point, you know, I have no clue. That's for the engineers to figure out.
right.
That's-
And I'm not aware, is Long Lane an easement that goes through this
That's a
property?
township road.
It's a township road.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what was very interesting on that, it's showing the property, and they're marketing the property coming out 215.
Well, it does, but the state right of way impinges on the property.
Right.
So.
Because they're showing it as like a 5.5 acre tract that is built on like 2.3 acres.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all state right away out in there.
Right. So that's what I wasn't sure about Long Road. So Long Road is a township road.
I think this line, to me, that's the same. I think this is the right-of-way line. It goes right off to the side of Long Lane,
What is that,
415.
100 or 120 foot?
I think it was
It's
100.
150.
150?
Well, you gotta check because
This straight line
where I
is,
checked up the road, it was 150 feet.
But it's showing on there 150 for the setback for the actual building. Well, there's a 20 foot there on that as well. I didn't print that.
this line here, I think is the actual,
Technically, it's got double frontage.
pardon me?
It's got double frontage, Long Lane and South Ridge.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So might have an issue there with setbacks off of Long Lane, and that might require zoning. Gus.
That's right. Well, it's 66.5 feet from the center of Long Lane. That's a setback on that side. And on the South Ridge Road side, that's a township road. You have 66.5 feet also.
That's these lines here, I think. See, the property line runs right on the, right-of-way line.
Right away. Yeah, because here it's extends on out.
But see, part of Long Lane is on the right-of-way of
So
15.
it's gonna be the same thing right there.
Yeah,
So it really doesn't impinge on either of the township roads. If this is the property lines, correct?
That is my understanding, my engineer, correct.
Okay.
Wouldn't this both be a concept?
Yeah, yeah, 66.5 feet on both sides.
That's what it's saying, double frontage lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 50.
Well, then he's gonna show him 50 there.
Again, the survey that I have shows 50 on that survey, but it was from early 2000. So, which was done by a gentleman in
So
Dillsville.
here's the setback from the property, this property, this food line right here.
Right, that's what I'm saying, this pops out a little bit right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, in our town, it's 66.5 feet from the center of the road.
Well, that's the, I mean, it almost, it would make it difficult to build. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's, you can take that into consideration, a good chunk of this works.
So at this point, you're looking at it as an exploratory, I mean.
I don't want to buy the land if you're like,
Well,
oh, we need it, right?
Yeah.
You know, or, you know,
Obviously.
what are the concerns that you have based on it with, you know, what we have? Is there something else that you'd like me to,
Well,
you know, bring?
how many square foot of cut per impervious surface you have here?
We did 25,000 for the roof, and I would suspect somewhere in the neighborhood of about 12 to 15,000 with the paving.
This is proposed 31%
Right.
versus 70.
Is the parking a gravel or concrete?
Page.
I would prefer it to be paved,
Oh, wait, okay.
but if you would wanted gravel, we could make it gravel as
No,
well.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, with this, I'd prefer it paved. I think it would make more sense.
Well, yeah.
It would just be a more professional look. Yeah. And I think it would help.
No, just keep everything cleaner looking.
Right, you know, and I think the people that would be renting it, that would want it, you know, to keep their trucks clean, it would, you know, it
More
just,
attractive.
yeah.
Well, it's an interesting concept. I'd really need to see numbers on how much coverage we got and how you control the stormwater.
because if I'm not mistaken, it kind of runs that way, right? We have a high point.
I think it slopes back toward this house here.
It slopes both ways, correct?
So you have room here.
That's where Ross Jones used to live.
You have to figure out something for you.
When he's down in the farmhouse,
Huh?
Who's your
he's in
engineer?
a farmhouse?
Highland Engineering,
That is the
James Adam
well,
Davis.
it's here at the barn over here.
No,
Well, he's gonna have
it's not a little
to
house.
sit
That's
down with
down
him
the
and
road
see what he
further.
can suggest.
I guess I still say the double frontage issue is probably paramount to the whole thing.
Excuse me, what?
The double frontage.
I understand, they got two, but it's 66.5
You
feet.
might
from-
squeeze it off, you don't have,
Well,
I know you're saying it's 66, but he's showing 30 and 50 on here, and
I'm not going by that, I'm saying that you got 66.5 feet from the center of Southridge Road, and you got 66.5 feet from Long Lane.
you need to take in consideration those two township streets and setbacks from them according to the ordinance.
On Long Lane, we were asking for a variance on Long Lane, which is the back of the buildings.
You have to prove hardship on
You want the front too. You have to have a variance for both.
Right, okay.
that. You have to meet the requirements for hardship for a zoning variance.
Okay.
I'd say that the first step would be applying for a zoning variance. You have to go through the zoning hearing board and the zoning officer.
Somebody back in the corner got their hand up.
Oh,
Who's back there?
Andy.
Oh,
Do you have something, Andy?
Just a question.
Go ahead.
Realize that for coming out of here, for people who be renting there, the only way to get for southbound access.
They'd have to go north and turn around at the roundabout and come back.
There's no.
There's no left hand to go south.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
And that's, I can guarantee you, I'm not gonna change that.
No, I'm not expecting them to. I don't think that's a consideration for, specific for this other thing. I mean, I know that it might lend some element of inconvenience, but the exit to turn around and go back is relatively close. It wouldn't be an hindrance for people. No, I appreciate the heads up. Yeah, Gus said the same thing to me.
Yeah, not like Hillsburg trying to beat through all the traffic lights. Turn around and come back.
Just go down and then get off and get back on.
Probably,
You haven't talked to PennDOT about what they're,
Would we be required to have a highway occupancy permit then for that? Since we're only going to, we're coming out onto two township roads?
no, but you gotta see what their right of way and how that impinges on your lot.
Right.
they need to get those things nailed down as far as right of way and setback off of the two township roads. See, precisely what you got left in there to work with.
Okay.
And then if you want to pursue it, I mean, and it doesn't fit, I mean, you have to go through the zoning variance, which that process, I guess, can elaborate on, but that's, you have to prove a hardship.
One other, when you have to figure out the way on 15, in a lot of places, it divided the property lines to actually go to the center line because 15 was expanded here many years ago. They didn't purchase the properties, they put an easement over it. So there's a lot of places where property goes underneath the road. That's why they look at a bigger property than actually it has. Because you might, yeah, I was developed out with that one of the interchanges for the same guarantee you PennDOT will change that.
No, I'm not expecting them to. I don't think that's a consideration for, specific for this other thing. I mean, I know that it might lend some element of inconvenience, but the exit to turn around and go back is relatively close. It wouldn't be an hindrance for people. No, I appreciate the heads up. Yeah, Gus said the same thing to me.
Yeah, not like Hillsburg trying to beat through all the traffic lights. Turn around and come back.
Just go down and then get off and get back on.
Probably,
You haven't talked to PennDOT about what they're,
Would we be required to have a highway occupancy permit then for that? Since we're only going to, we're coming out onto two township roads?
no, but you gotta see what their right of way and how that impinges on your lot.
Right.
they need to get those things nailed down as far as right of way and setback off of the two township roads. See, precisely what you got left in there to work with.
Okay.
And then if you want to pursue it, I mean, and it doesn't fit, I mean, you have to go through the zoning variance, which that process, I guess, can elaborate on, but that's, you have to prove a hardship.
One other, when you have to figure out the way on 15, in a lot of places, it divided the property lines to actually go to the center line because 15 was expanded here many years ago. They didn't purchase the properties, they put an easement over it. So there's a lot of places where property goes underneath the road. That's why they look at a bigger property than actually it has. Because you might, yeah, I was developed out with that one of the interchanges further south where the developer didn't realize that they actually owned the grass strips between the ramps. So that might, their right away might cover.
Because the way that they're selling it, and the way that it's listed, is that you own it. There's an easement, and two,
the
But the buildable is a fraction of it, right?
That's has to do with the way the
Right.
pool is expanded. There.
I thought that was odd, but
It is, and they wouldn't do that now, but 30, 40 years ago.
right.
They did.
Did that in the 70s?
Yeah.
70s, 80s, expansion was in the 80s.
So if I wanted to go with this plan, I would start with zoning and to the zoning board meeting to ask for variance and show hardship.
Yeah, I mean, first thing I would do is make sure you got all your dimensions and everything nailed down as far as right-of-ways, setbacks. You know,
This is based off of the survey that was done, but specifically the one that, and they're using as a listing document on property. He's a surveyor in Dillsburg. And I don't even know if he exists anymore. Get his name.
2 square feet of building and parking lot.
Better believe it.
We're just saying, nice place.
I mean, I think it's great. The initial fit of it, but.
It was done for George A. Smith, May 4th, 2000. Rodney Lee Decker and Associates is the one that did the survey.
He's gone.
that was my brother, he passed away in '09, so.
So, I mean, on the zoning map, they're showing out into 15, you know, coming off, here's a southbound lane, but your car right-of-way line, center of marginal, then required for Service Road, which was long, and, you know, we're going off of, so even from there, you're looking at 150 feet from the center of, on that, which includes this, it's from the center line of here is 150 feet.
So where's that come to?
It's the center line here to our building, to where we put the building.
Then you're right on the edge of their right of way.
Well, that's the setback line for the building.
That's the setback, yeah, that's just the setback line. The building's 150, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd have to, that was, what, in 2000, you're still gonna have to conform to the current
Correct.
zoning requirements that we have in place. I mean, you might have the survey of that and dimensions of the right of ways, but you gotta look into the current zoning setbacks, whether you're coming off of. It's tough when you got two township roads and you technically got a double frontage parcel. That's an issue for the zoning.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, this piece of ground has been sitting there for years, and I'm finally glad to see someone's looking
Yeah.
at it.
I mean, make use of it, it's, but
I think one of the biggest troubles is gonna be stormwater, with just
Oh, yeah.
almost no place to go. You got the parking lot and the building, and I'm sure county will have something.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be tough.
There's only one place you could put a retention pond, is out there in that point, but then where do you go with the discharge? I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I wouldn't have a clue.
that's something that had to be worked out.
Yeah,
First is get the use worked out.
yeah.
Is it zoned commercial? That's what it
It
is.
is.
Yeah, it's, it's got the right zoning,
Yeah,
Okay.
and, But as far as the dimensional problems and as far as setbacks and things like that, this board can't make any, we can make a recommendation once, if the zoning case comes in, we review it, we can make a recommendation, but the zoning hearing board is the whole, answer to that.
Gotcha.
As far as trying to make use of the property, that's the thing, that's, instead of sitting there and not.
These are the buildings,
And for around here, that type of storage would probably be.
I
Personally, I thought so. That's, when the land came up, because I'm working on another project to put up smaller storage units in Upper Dauphin County, and I felt that it was worthwhile trying to go check it out. I just thought it was, about, and especially as the growth that's coming, between Billsburg and Gettysburg and everything that's happening here in this corridor, where you guys sit in the township, look how it workers, and they, here's a place that they can put themselves and look, professional and, right? I think it's, it would work if we could make these things work out. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Can we keep a couple of these?
You can keep them all. I'm gonna shoot you one more. You have enough? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.